Shadows hide more than secrets. Sometimes they hide heroes. When officers Bradley and Carter kicked a homeless man in that alley, they thought they were teaching a lesson. Instead, they were awakening a ghost. Elijah Cole didn't speak as his blood stained the pavement, didn't fight as their laughter echoed through the night, didn't run when they threatened worse next time. He simply remembered. A battle-hardened sniper doesn't need a rifle to be dangerous. He needs a reason. Now a 4-star general's phone is ringing, and a system built on corruption is about to meet the man it should have left alone. Some men break under pressure, others wait for the perfect moment to strike. Just before we get back to it, I'd love to know where you're watching from today, and if you're enjoying these stories, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow's special episode is one you definitely don't want to miss. The city's neon lights flickered against the darkness, casting long shadows down alleyways where most people feared to tread. Steam rose from sewer grates, mingling with the harsh winter air. In one of these forgotten corners, Elijah Cole sat by a fire burning in an old oil drum, his weathered hands outstretched toward the dancing flames. His dark skin absorbed the orange glow, highlighting the deep lines etched across his face, a map of hardships endured and battles fought. Despite his ragged appearance, the worn army surplus jacket, frayed jeans, and boots held together with duct tape, there was something undeniably dignified about him. His eyes, sharp and alert, scanned the street with practiced precision, missing nothing. He watched as people hurried past, clutching their belongings tighter whenever they noticed him. Just another invisible man, Elijah muttered to himself, poking the fire with a metal rod. The diner across the street was a stark contrast to Elijah's dim corner. Light spilled from its windows, illuminating 3 police officers as they exited, laughing and adjusting their uniforms. Officer Bradley led the trio, tall and broad-shouldered with close-cropped blonde hair and a permanent smirk. Carter followed, thinner, but with the same predatory glint in his eyes, a shock of red hair visible beneath his cap. And trailing behind them was Mills, younger than the others, his brown hair slightly disheveled, his expression uncertain. "Look at him." Bradley nudged Carter, nodding toward a cluster of homeless people huddled around another barrel fire down the block.
"City's going to shit with these bums everywhere. Tax dollars at work," Carter snickered. "They get the streets, we get the paperwork." Mills said nothing, his gaze drifting toward Elijah, then quickly away when their eyes met. "Hey," Bradley's
voice sharpened. "Mills, you with us?" "Yeah," Mills replied, clearing his throat. "Just thinking about that report from earlier." Bradley rolled his eyes. "Always by the book with you. Loosen up, rookie." They continued down the sidewalk, breath fogging in the cold air. Bradley suddenly stopped, nudging Carter and pointing toward a dumpster behind a restaurant where Elijah had wandered, searching for anything salvageable. "Hey, check this out," Bradley grinned, changing direction. Carter followed eagerly while Mills hesitated before trailing behind. Elijah heard them approaching, but didn't look up. He'd learned long ago that acknowledging them only made things worse. Well, Bradley's voice boomed. "Digging through trash again, are we?" Elijah straightened up slowly, his movements deliberate, controlled. "Just trying to find something to eat, officer." "You hear that, Carter? He's just trying to eat." Bradley stepped closer, invading Elijah's space. "You know what? I think I can help with that." Before Elijah could react, Bradley shoved him hard, sending him tumbling backward into the dumpster. Carter burst into laughter as Elijah landed among the garbage, food scraps sticking to his jacket. "Dinner is served," Carter hooted. Elijah didn't struggle or shout. He simply lay there for a moment, his eyes locked on Bradley's face, studying him with an intensity that momentarily wiped the smile from the officer's face. Mills stood frozen, his hand half raised as if to intervene. "Bradley, come on, we should get back to patrol." "Relax, Mills," Bradley said, not taking his eyes off Elijah. "Just taking out the trash." Elijah climbed out of the dumpster with surprising dignity, brushing off the garbage without a word. His calm demeanor seemed to irritate Bradley even more. "Got nothing to say?" Bradley stepped close again. "No apology for making us waste our time," "I apologize for the inconvenience, officer," Elijah said, his voice low but clear. Something in his tone, the lack of fear perhaps, made Bradley narrow his eyes. But before he could respond, the radio on his shoulder crackled with a call from dispatch. "Saved by the Bell," Bradley muttered. "Let's go." As they walked away, Carter chuckled. That was classic, man. Mills glanced back at Elijah, his face clouded with shame. Once the officers were out of sight, an older homeless man named Frank shuffled over to Elijah. His gray beard was matted, and his eyes were watery with age. "Why you never fight back, Elijah?" Frank asked, offering him a half-empty bottle of water. "I've seen you take down guys twice your size when they mess with the younger folks here." Elijah accepted the water, taking a small sip before answering. "Some battles are fought differently." His gaze followed the direction the officers had, eye calculating, patient. "Not all wars are won with fists," Frank shook his head. "Those cops been getting worse, especially Bradley and Carter. They're gonna kill someone one day." "Yes," Elijah agreed quietly. "They just might." At the precinct, fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as Bradley and Carter recounted their encounter, embellishing for the amusement of fellow officers. "You should have seen his face when I pushed him in." Bradley laughed, miming the action, like a turtle stuck on its back. Captain Reynolds, a heavy-set man with thinning gray hair and perpetually bloodshot eyes, chuckled from his office doorway. "You boys having fun out there?" "Just community policing, Cap," Carter grinned. Reynolds nodded appreciatively. "As long as no one's filming, right?" He retreated back into his office without waiting for a response. Mills sat at his desk, filling out paperwork with more focus than necessary. He could feel the weight of complicity settling on his shoulders with each passing day. Back on the streets, as night deepened, Elijah moved methodically through the city. Despite his apparent disadvantage, he observed everything with military precision. He noted which officers patrolled which blocks, their rotation schedules, their blind spots. He watched Bradley meet with a known drug dealer in an alley, accept an envelope, and walk away without making an arrest. Elijah committed it all to memory, patient as a hunter tracking prey. Later that night, Mills sat in his modest apartment, phone pressed to his ear. "Yeah, Mom, I'm eating okay," he said, rubbing his temples. "The job's... it's not exactly what I expected." His mother's voice was gentle. "Remember why you wanted to be an officer, Tommy. Your father would be proud of the good man you are." Mills fell silent, thinking of what his father, a retired cop known for his integrity, would say about what he'd witnessed today. "I hope so, Mom." After hanging up, Mills stared at his reflection in the window. The uniform that once filled him with pride now felt like a costume he was wearing in a play he hadn't signed up for. The next morning, Bradley and Carter spotted Elijah again, sitting on a bench near the park entrance. They approached, Carter kicking Elijah's foot to get his attention. "Still here?" Bradley sneered. "Thought we made it clear yesterday that we don't like seeing your face." Elijah looked up slowly, his expression unchanging. "One day, you're gonna regret this." The simple statement, delivered without emotion, caught Bradley off guard. For a split second, unease flickered across his face before he masked it with a harsh laugh. "Is that a threat?" he demanded, hand hovering near his baton. "Just an observation," Elijah replied calmly. Bradley leaned in close. "Listen carefully, old man. You're nothing, less than nothing, and nothing you ever do will matter to anyone. Remember that." As they walked away, Carter glanced back nervously. "That guy gives me the creeps." "He's just another bum," Bradley insisted, but his step was slightly quicker than before. Rain pelted down on a cluster of tents beneath the overpass, turning the ground to mud. Bradley and Carter strode through the makeshift shelter, kicking at tent poles and shouting orders. "Health inspection," Bradley called out mockingly, ripping open a tent flap to reveal an elderly woman clutching her few possessions. "This doesn't meet code. Gonna have to condemn it." He upended her bag, scattering medication bottles and personal items into the mud. The woman cried out but didn't dare confront him. Carter moved to another tent, dragging out a bearded man in his 50s. "You can't be here," Public property. Please, the man begged. It's raining. I got nowhere else. Should have thought of that before you decided to be homeless, Carter replied, shoving the man down. As they continued their sweep, Mills hung back, ostensibly keeping watch but actually avoiding participation. He noticed a small, weathered photo that had fallen from someone's belongings, a military unit standing proud in desert fatigues. He picked it up, brushed off the mud, and carefully placed it on a nearby crate where its owner might find it. Later, at a diner near the precinct, Carter stabbed at his eggs with frustration. Anderson got promoted to detective. He's been here half the time I have. Bradley sipped his coffee. You want promotions? You gotta earn your way up. And how exactly do I do that? Carter demanded. Reynolds only notices you. Bradley leaned forward. Reynolds notices people who get things done, who understand the game. He lowered his voice. The streets are a gold mine if you know how to work them. Like with Vega? Carter asked, referring to the drug dealer Bradley had met with. Exactly, Bradley nodded. These dealers need protection. We provide it. For a fee. Everybody wins. Mills pretended to focus on his food, but his stomach turned at the conversation. Back at the precinct, Mills received a call about a missing homeless veteran, a man named Johnson, who frequented the area where Elijah stayed. Mills jotted down the details mechanically until the caller mentioned that Johnson had lost a leg in Afghanistan. He served 2 tours, the caller, a VA social worker, explained. He has severe PTSD. We're concerned he might harm himself. I'll keep an eye out, Mills promised, feeling a pang of genuine concern. That evening, Bradley, Carter, and Mills found themselves at the Blue Line, a bar frequented by police officers. Bradley was 3 drinks in, growing louder with each one. You hear about that veteran who went missing? Mills ventured, nursing his single beer. Another one bites the dust, Bradley shrugged. Those guys are always disappearing. He lost his leg in Afghanistan, Mills pressed. Should have ducked faster, Carter laughed, earning approving chuckles from nearby officers. Bradley raised his moe glass. Here's to the heroes who couldn't hack it back home. His voice dripped with sarcasm. Useless in war, useless in peace. Mills fell silent, disgusted but unwilling to challenge them publicly. Little did they know that just 20 feet away at the bar, Elijah sat nursing a cup of coffee he'd scraped together enough change to buy. He heard every word, his face betraying nothing as he committed their conversation to memory. What Bradley and his cronies didn't know, what nobody knew, was that Elijah Cole had once been Master Sergeant Elijah Cole, one of the most decorated snipers in Special Forces history. Man with confirmed kills in the triple digits, a ghost who could end a life from a mile away without a second thought, a man who had saved General Samuel Harrington's life during an ambush that should have killed them both. Across town, Bradley met with Councilman Wallace in an upscale restaurant's private room. Wallace, a thin man with thinning hair and expensive cufflinks, slid an envelope across the table. The development plans are moving forward, Wallace said quietly. We need that encampment cleared by next week. No media, no fuss. Bradley pocketed the envelope without counting the contents. Consider it done. Some bleeding heart at the Tribune has been asking questions about homeless displacement. Wallace continued. Make sure your methods are discreet. Always are, Bradley assured him. From the shadows of an alley across the street, Elijah watched. Bradley exit the restaurant and shake hands with Wallace. His eyes narrowed as he recognized the councilman from news coverage about a controversial development project, one that would demolish a shelter to build luxury condos. Later that night, Bradley met with Marcus, a gang leader who controlled drug distribution in the Northern District. The meeting took place in the back room of a laundromat, with Carter standing guard outside. Police are planning a raid on West Side next Thursday, Bradley informed him, leaning against a dryer. Thought you should know. Marcus nodded, sliding a thick envelope across the folding table. Appreciate the heads up. Business as usual on our end? Just keep it clean on my streets, Bradley replied. And remember our arrangement when election season comes around. Neither man noticed the shadow that passed briefly across the small window high on the wall. Elijah, perched on a dumpster, recording the conversation on a cheap phone he'd bought with panhandling money. The next day, Carter approached a homeless man named Devin, who was known to do odd jobs around the neighborhood. Carter cornered him behind a grocery store. "Got a tip you've been selling," Carter said, holding up a small bag of white powder. "That ain't mine," Devin protested, eyes widening. "I don't do that stuff, man." "Funny, because I'm about to find it in your pocket." Carter moved closer, the bag hidden in his palm. "Please," Devin begged. "I'm clean, 2 years now." Carter grabbed him roughly, slamming him against the wall. With practiced moves, he planted the drugs and then discovered them with a theatrical flourish. "Well, look what we have here," he announced loudly as a store employee stepped out for a smoke break, providing a convenient witness. "You're under arrest." As Carter cuffed Devin and led him to the patrol car, he caught Bradley watching from across the street. Bradley gave a subtle nod of approval. Mills sat at his desk that night, the precinct nearly empty. He pulled up records on Elijah Cole, expecting to find petty arrests or nothing at all. What appeared on his screen made his blood run cold. Master Sergeant Elijah Cole, Special Forces, 3 silver stars, Bronze Star with Valor, Purple Heart. A career spanning over 20 years, with most of the file redacted for national security reasons. "Jesus," Mills whispered, scrolling through the limited information available. The service photo showed a younger Elijah in dress uniform, eyes sharp and focused, bearing no resemblance to the broken man on the streets, except for those same penetrating eyes. Mills quickly closed the file when he heard footsteps approaching, but his mind raced with questions. Why was one of America's most decorated soldiers living on the streets? And why hadn't he fought back against Bradley and Carter? The next morning, news spread through the precinct about a drug dealer named Vega, who had been found beaten and robbed. His jaw was broken in 2 places and all his product and money were gone. "Professional job," the reporting officer said. "No witnesses. Victim says it was someone who moved like a ghost." Bradley's face darkened as he listened. Vega was one of his protected dealers. "Any suspects?" he demanded. "None. Security cameras in the area mysteriously malfunctioned during the time window." Bradley slammed his fist on a desk. "Find who did this." In his makeshift shelter beneath an abandoned bridge, Elijah sat cross-legged on a salvaged cushion. The space around him was surprisingly orderly. Military habits died hard. He held an old pocket knife, methodically sharpening it against a whetstone as he had done countless times in far-flung corners of the world. Next to him lay the spoils from Vega's operation, several $1,000s in cash and drugs that would never reach the streets. The money was already separated into envelopes addressed to various homeless shelters and veterans organizations. "Time's running out, Bradley," Elijah murmured to himself, testing the knife's edge against his thumb. "Time's running out for all of you." Frank approached cautiously, knowing better than to startle Elijah. "You okay, brother? Heard about what happened to Vega." Elijah didn't look up from his work. "Did you now?" "Streets talk," Frank shrugged. "Heard whoever did it was military trained, real professional-like." "That so?" Elijah replied non-committally. Frank lowered his voice. "Word is, Bradley's furious. He's looking to make someone pay." "Let him look," Elijah said calmly. "Some people don't see what's right in front of them until it's too late." Frank hesitated. "Whatever you're planning, be careful. Bradley has friends in high places." A ghost of a smile crossed Elijah's weathered face. "So do I, Frank. So do I." The next morning dawned clear and cold. Elijah spotted an elderly veteran named Wilson struggling to stand from his makeshift bed in the alley. Wilson's hands shook with the early stages of Parkinson's, making even simple tasks difficult. Elijah approached, offering a steady arm. "Easy. There, soldier. I've got you." Wilson gripped Elijah's arm, his roomy eyes grateful. "Thanks, brother. Legs ain't what they used to be." "Neither are mine," Elijah replied with a rare smile. "But they still get me where I need to go." Neither man noticed the patrol car slowing at the mouth of the alley, or Bradley's eyes narrowing at the scene of compassion playing out before him. "Look at this touching moment," Bradley called out, exiting the vehicle. Carter followed, while Mills remained behind the wheel, watching with apprehension. "Officer," Elijah nodded respectfully, still supporting Wilson. "What's this? A bum's reunion?" Bradley approached, deliberately bumping into Wilson, who nearly lost his balance. "He fought for this country," Elijah said, his voice taking on an edge that hadn't been there before. "And now he's taking up my sidewalk," Bradley countered. He turned to Carter. "Don't you hate when they stick together like this, acting all entitled because they wore a uniform once upon a time?" Something in Bradley's tone, the disdain, the mockery of service, made Elijah's eyes flash. For just a moment, the mask of the broken homeless man slipped, revealing the warrior beneath. Bradley caught it, that momentary transformation, and for the first time, he felt a flicker of genuine unease. But rather than back down, he doubled down. "You know what? I think it's time we taught our heroes a lesson about who really runs these streets." And as Carter moved to grab Elijah's arm, neither officer realized they had just set in motion events that would destroy everything they had built. Neither realized they had just declared war on a ghost. Evening had settled over the city, bringing with it a biting cold that cut through even the thickest clothes. Elijah had spent the afternoon helping Wilson organize the medication he'd received from a free clinic. The elderly veteran's hands shook too much to sort the pills properly, and Elijah knew what it was like to need that kind of help. "You served in Vietnam, right?" Elijah asked as he arranged the pill bottles in order of daily use. Wilson nodded, his eyes distant. "2 tours. Long time ago now." "Never seems that long ago sometimes," Elijah replied softly. "The memories stay fresh." Wilson studied him. "Afghanistan? Iraq?" "Both. And places they don't put on the news." Elijah's voice was matter-of-fact, revealing nothing more. Wilson chuckled. "One of those guys, huh? The ones that go where nobody's supposed to be." Elijah's slight smile was answer enough. "Figured." Wilson nodded. "Can always tell. Way you move, way you watch everything." A commotion down the street caught their attention. A group of homeless people were gathering their meager belongings, moving quickly. "What's happening?" Elijah asked a young woman hurrying past. "Bradley and Carter are on a tear tonight," she explained, clutching a backpack to her chest. "Already trashed 3 camps. They're headed this way." Wilson struggled to stand, panic clear on his lined face. "My stuff. I'll help you," Elijah assured him, gathering Wilson's belongings into a small duffel bag. He helped the older man to his feet just as a patrol car rounded the corner, headlights illuminating the alley. The car stopped, and Bradley emerged, his face flushed with irritation. Or alcohol, possibly both. Carter got out from the passenger side, already wielding his baton. "Well, look who it is," Bradley called out. "The old-timer and his bodyguard." Elijah positioned himself slightly in front of Wilson. "We're just leaving, officer." Bradley approached, his swagger more pronounced than usual. "Leaving? That sounds like you think you have a choice." He turned to Carter. "You see how these bums stick together? Like they've got some kind of code?" Carter chuckled, slapping his baton against his palm. "A brotherhood of the streets." Bradley's eyes narrowed as he watched Elijah supporting Wilson. Something about the scene, the protective stance, the dignity in Elijah's bearing, triggered a wave of disgust in him. "You know what I hate most?" Bradley stepped closer. "Weakness, pretending to be strength." "We don't want any trouble," Elijah said calmly. "Too late for that." Bradley's hand shot out, shoving Wilson roughly. The older man lost his balance, falling hard to the ground with a cry of pain. Elijah's face changed, just for an instant, as he helped Wilson sit up. Something cold and lethal flashed in his eyes, before the mask of submission returned. "He needs a doctor," Elijah said, noting the blood on Wilson's temple where he'd struck the pavement. "What he needs is to get his ass off my streets," Bradley countered. He turned to see that Mills had finally exited the patrol car, watching the scene with visible discomfort. "Mills, get over here and help educate our homeless heroes." Mills approached hesitantly. "Bradley, he's bleeding. Maybe we should call an ambulance." Bradley rolled his eyes. Always trying to save everybody. He turned back to Elijah. Your friend here got what was coming to him, just like you're about to. Without warning, Bradley grabbed Elijah by his jacket collar and dragged him deeper into the alley, away from potential witnesses. Carter followed eagerly, while Mills stood frozen, watching Wilson try to crawl toward a wall for support. You think you're better than us? Bradley shoved Elijah against a dumpster. You and your pathetic veteran friend? Elijah said nothing, his eyes locked on Bradley's, measuring him. Nothing to say now? Bradley's first punch caught Elijah in the stomach, doubling him over. No more warnings or tough guy looks? Carter joined in, landing a blow to Elijah's kidney that drove him to his knees. Still, Elijah remained silent, his breathing controlled even as pain radiated through his body. Hold him up, Bradley ordered. Carter grabbed Elijah's arms, yanking him upright as Bradley delivered a series of blows to his face and torso. Blood spurted from Elijah's nose and split lip, staining his already dirty jacket. Mills stood at the mouth of the alley, his hands trembling. This wasn't law enforcement. This was assault, pure and simple. He took half a step forward, then stopped, overcome by cowardice. Do something, Wilson begged from where he sat propped against the wall. Please, they'll kill him. Mills looked away, shame burning through him. Then, without a word, he turned and walked back to the patrol car. He couldn't participate, but he couldn't find the courage to intervene either. In the alley, Bradley paused, breathing heavily from exertion. Elijah hung limply in Carter's grip, blood dripping from his face onto the dirty pavement. But despite the beating, his eyes remained clear and focused, and something in that gaze unnerved Carter. Bradley, Carter whispered. Maybe that's enough. Enough? Bradley laughed. We're just getting started. He leaned in close to Elijah's face. See, I've been watching you. You think you're so smart, observing everything, playing the quiet victim. But you're nothing, a nobody. He delivered another punch, this one splitting Elijah's eyebrow. Yet even through the blood and pain, Elijah's expression remained unchanged, watchful, calculating, waiting. Finish it, Bradley told Carter. Show me you've got what it takes. Carter hesitated, disturbed by Elijah's unwavering gaze. He's had enough. Do it, Bradley insisted. Reluctantly, Carter drove his knee into Elijah's ribs, then let him crumple to the ground. Bradley delivered a final kick to Elijah's side before standing back, satisfied with his work. Let that be a lesson, Bradley spat. Step out of line again and next time we won't stop. As they turned to leave, Elijah's voice, though weak, carried clearly in the night air. Officer Bradley. Bradley turned, surprised to hear his name. Blood dripped from Elijah's mouth as he spoke. I know who you are. I know what you've done. And I won't forget. Bradley's face darkened. He stepped back toward Elijah, grabbing a fistful of his jacket. You threatening me? Elijah's smile through bloodied teeth was chilling in its calmness. Just stating facts. Bradley shoved him back down. No one will ever remember you. You'll die in these streets and nobody will even notice you're gone. Elijah chuckled softly, the sound disturbing in context. Bradley stepped back, suddenly eager to be away from those penetrating eyes. Let's go, he muttered to Carter. They walked back to the patrol car where Mills waited, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. Had to teach him a lesson, Bradley explained as they climbed in. Getting too comfortable around here. Mills said nothing, putting the car in drive. In the rearview mirror, he could see Wilson crawling toward Elijah, trying to help him up. Back in the alley, Elijah struggled to his feet, refusing Wilson's attempts to assist him. You need a hospital, Wilson insisted, alarmed by the amount of blood soaking through Elijah's clothes. No hospitals, Elijah replied, testing his ribs with a grimace. Nothing was broken, but the pain was intense. Just help me to the payphone. On 8th. Payphone? What for? Wilson asked, supporting Elijah as they limped toward the street. Time to call in a favor, Elijah answered, his voice hardening. A very old favor. The walk to the payphone took nearly 30 minutes, each step sending waves of pain through Elijah's battered body. Once there, he dug into his pocket for a crumpled calling card he'd kept for years. His fingers, sticky with blood, struggled with the tiny buttons as he dialed a number he'd memorized long ago, followed by a special access code. The line rang 3 times before a clipped voice answered. Department of Defense, special access line, verification required. November, Echo Sierra 793 Alpha Zero, Elijah recited, leaning heavily against the phone booth. A pause. Identity confirmed. How may I direct your call, Master Sergeant Cole? General Samuel Harrington, Elijah replied. Tell him it's Echo from Kandahar. Another pause, longer this time. 1 moment, sir. Wilson watched in amazement as Elijah waited, blood still trickling from his split lip. Finally, a deep voice came, on the line. This is General Harrington. Sam, Elijah said simply. It's Elijah Cole. The silence that followed was heavy with shock. When Harrington finally spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. Elijah? I thought you were dead. Not yet, Elijah replied, wincing as he shifted his weight. But some local cops are trying their best to change that. What's happened? Where are you? The general's voice sharpened with concern. Remember Kandahar? The night raid that went sideways? How could I forget? Harrington answered solemnly. You saved my life and half the unit. Elijah closed his eyes briefly, steadying himself against another wave of pain. I saved your life once. Now I need you to return the favor. Anything, Harrington responded without hesitation. Just tell me what you need. Elijah detailed his situation, the corrupt officers, the beatings, the extortion racket, his voice growing stronger with each word. As he spoke, Wilson watched, his posture change, the homeless man falling away to reveal the soldier beneath. I'll handle it personally, Harrington promised when Elijah finished. Where can I reach you? Elijah gave him a number for a prepaid phone he'd hidden in his shelter, along with the address of an abandoned building where he sometimes stayed. Hang tight, Elijah, Harrington said. This is now a matter of national security. As Elijah hung up the phone, Wilson stared at him with new understanding. Who the hell are you really? Elijah wiped blood from his face with his sleeve. Just a soldier who's been hiding long enough. Across town, Bradley and Carter had stopped at the Blue Line bar to celebrate their productive evening. Mills had declined to join them, claiming a headache. To keeping the streets clean, Bradley toasted, raising his whiskey. Carter clinked glasses, but his enthusiasm seemed forced. That homeless guy, the way he looked at us. Didn't that seem weird to you? Bradley snorted. Don't tell me you're scared of some bum. Not scared, Carter insisted. Just something about him. You're overthinking it. Bradley dismissed him with a wave. By tomorrow, he'll be licking his wounds in some other part of town. Probably won't see him again. Neither officer had any idea that across the city, General Samuel Harrington was already on a secure line to the Pentagon, setting in motion a chain of events that would shatter their world forever. I need a full operational team, Harrington was saying. Top clearance only, and get me everything you can on the Metro Police Department, especially officers named Bradley and Carter. Harrington's aide responded immediately. Yes, sir. How should I classify this operation? The general's voice was steel. Fallen Eagle recovery. Priority Alpha. 3 days after the beating, FBI Special Agent Diana Walker strode into the Metro Police Department. Her dark suit was impeccably tailored, her badge prominently displayed on her hip. Behind her followed Agent Michaels, tall and silent with observant eyes that missed nothing. Officers glanced up from their desks, conversations quieting as the agents approached the front desk. I need to speak with Captain Reynolds, Walker stated, her tone making it clear this wasn't a request. The desk sergeant hesitated. May I ask what this is regarding? Federal investigation, she replied simply. I won't ask again. Minutes later, Walker and Michaels were seated in Reynolds' office, the captain visibly uncomfortable as he offered them coffee. They declined. "What can I help the FBI with today?" Reynolds asked, forcing a jovial tone. "We're conducting an investigation into complaints of civil rights violations in your precinct," Walker explained, opening a folder, specifically targeting of homeless individuals and veterans. Reynolds laughed nervously. "Must be some mistake. My officers follow proper procedure." "That's what we're here to determine." Michaels spoke for the first time, his voice revealing nothing. As the interview continued, officers gathered in small groups whispering. "FBI?" Carter murmured to Bradley when he arrived for his shift. "What's happening?" Bradley shrugged, projecting confidence he didn't entirely feel. "Probably that shooting across town last week. Nothing to do with us." Carter wasn't convinced. "They've been talking to Reynolds for over an hour." "Relax." Bradley clapped him on the shoulder. "This is our house. We're untouchable here." Mills watched the exchange from his desk, a knot forming in his stomach. Something was happening. Something connected to Elijah Cole, he was certain of it. In Washington, D.C., General Harrington sat in a secure conference room within the Pentagon, surrounded by intelligence officers and legal advisors. On the screen, before them was a detailed profile of Officer James Bradley. "Multiple complaints of excessive force, all dismissed," an analyst was saying. "Financial records show deposits inconsistent with his salary. Phone records indicate regular contact with known drug dealers, and this man..." A photo appeared on screen. "Councilman Wallace, currently under separate investigation for corruption." Harrington nodded grimly. "And Officer Carter?" "Similar pattern, though he appears to be Bradley's subordinate rather than an equal partner. Officer Thomas Mills is newer to the force, fewer complaints, but present during multiple incidents." "What about Cole's military record?" Harrington asked. A different officer stepped forward. "Master Sergeant Elijah Cole, 3 Silver Stars, Bronze Star with Valor, one of our most decorated snipers. After his discharge, he struggled with PTSD but refused treatment. Dropped off the grid about 3 years ago." Harrington studied the service photo of Elijah. "I want Colonel Davis on the ground today. Full surveillance package. I want to know every move Bradley and Carter make." "Sir," one of the legal advisors interjected, "this is unusual protocol for a civilian complaint." Harrington's eyes hardened. "This isn't just a complaint. This is about one of our most decorated operators being systematically abused by corrupt cops. And I owe him my life." Back at the precinct, Walker and Michaels finally emerged from Reynolds' office. The captain followed, his face flushed with anger or embarrassment. "We'll need access to your duty rosters and patrol records for the past 6 months," Walker informed him. "And we'll be interviewing your officers individually." Reynolds forced a tight smile. "Of course, whatever you need." As the agents left, Reynolds gestured Bradley into his office, slamming the door behind them. "What the hell did you do?" Reynolds hissed. "The FBI doesn't show up for routine complaints." Bradley maintained his composure. "I haven't done anything you haven't signed." "Off on, Captain." Reynolds jabbed a finger into Bradley's chest. "Fix this. Whatever it is, make it go away." "It's probably about that homeless guy," Bradley suggested. "The one who's been causing trouble." "Then find him and shut him up," Reynolds snapped. "Legally," he added as an afterthought. Later that day, a tall, distinguished man in civilian clothes arrived at the temporary apartment Elijah was using, courtesy of General Harrington. The man knocked once, then identified himself. "Colonel Davis, Army Intelligence, the General sent me." Elijah opened the door, his face still bruised but healing. He assessed Davis with a professional's eye before stepping aside to let him enter. The apartment was Spartan, a single bed, a table with 2 chairs, and a duffel bag of clothes. The only personal touch was a small framed photo of a military unit standing before a helicopter in desert terrain. "Master Sergeant," Davis greeted him, with respect. "It's an honor. Your reputation precedes you." Elijah gestured to the table. "What's the situation?" Davis laid out several folders. "We've established surveillance on Officers Bradley and Carter, Captain Reynolds as well. The FBI has opened an official investigation, but they don't know about our involvement yet. Elijah nodded. And the general? Arriving tomorrow, Davis confirmed. He's personally overseeing this operation. A ghost of a smile crossed Elijah's face. Sam always did like to handle things himself. There's something else, Davis added, opening another folder. Bradley has connections, beyond just local drug dealers. We've traced financial transactions to Councilman Wallace and this man. He slid across a photo of a well-dressed man leaving a restaurant. Richard Keller, real estate developer. They're planning to demolish the Eastern District homeless encampments. For a new development project, Elijah studied the photo. The same area where veterans like Wilson live? Precisely, Davis confirmed. This goes beyond harassment. It's systematic displacement for profit. Elijah's expression darkened. How do you want to proceed? The general wants to build an airtight case, Davis explained. FBI handles the legal end. We provide intelligence support. But first, we need to establish your credibility as a witness. Which means I need to come in from the cold, Elijah concluded. Davis nodded. We have a full medical team standing by at Fort Belvoir. The general wants you checked out, your injuries documented. Then we'll proceed with formal statements. Elijah stood. Decision made. Let's move. As Davis and Elijah prepared to leave, neither noticed the patrol car slowly cruising past the apartment building, Carter behind the wheel, eyes scanning the street with growing paranoia. Mills spent his evening off doing something he knew could end his career, searching through confidential police records for any complaints involving Elijah Cole or other homeless veterans. What he found sickened him. Dozens of reports, all dismissed without investigation, many involving Bradley and Carter. His phone rang, startling him. The number was blocked. Officer Mills, he answered cautiously. Look out your window, a male voice instructed. Mills moved to his apartment window. On the street below, a man in a dark suit stood beside a black sedan. Who is this? Mills demanded. Someone who knows you're struggling with your conscience, the voice replied. Someone who can help you do the right thing. What do you want? To give you a choice. Come down now and we talk. Stay up there, and when this all comes crashing down, and it will, you go down with Bradley and Carter. Mills stared at the man below, heart racing. I'll be right down. 5 minutes later, Mills sat in the sedan across from Agent Michaels. Officer Mills, we know you were present during the assault on Elijah Cole, Michaels stated without preamble. We also know you didn't participate. Mills swallowed hard. How do you know about that? Michaels slid a phone across the seat. When you're ready to do the right thing, make the call. One chance, Mills. That's all you get. After Michaels dropped him back at his apartment, Mills sat with the burner phone in his hand for hours, weighing his options, his loyalty to the badge against his sense of right and wrong. Bradley, meanwhile, was enjoying an evening with fellow officers who shared his approach to policing. They gathered in a private room at the Blue Line, drinking and laughing about their community outreach. To keeping the streets clean, Bradley toasted, unaware that every word was being recorded by devices placed by Colonel Davis's team hours earlier. Speaking of, one officer leaned in, heard FBI sniffing around. Anything to worry about? Bradley waved dismissively. Nothing I can't handle. I've got Reynolds in my pocket and friends upstairs. This will blow over. As Bradley bragged, a convoy of black SUVs with government plates was pulling into a private airfield outside the city. General Samuel Harrington, dressed in civilian clothes but carrying himself with unmistakable military bearing, descended from the lead vehicle. Colonel Davis greeted him. Everything's in place, sir. And Cole? At the medical facility now. Doctor reports 3 broken ribs, facial lacerations, kidney contusion, all documented. Harrington's jaw tightened. And our targets? Bradley's at a bar with his crew. Carter's at home. Reynolds is still at the precinct, trying to manage the FBI situation. Good, Harrington nodded. Time to make the call. That night, Bradley finally returned to his apartment, slightly drunk and fully confident that whatever storm was brewing would miss him entirely. He kicked off his shoes and poured himself another drink when his phone rang. Yeah, he answered. Officer, James Bradley? A deep, authoritative voice inquired. Who's asking? Bradley responded, irritated. My name is General Samuel Harrington, United States Army. I'm calling about your recent interaction with Master Sergeant Elijah Cole. Bradley froze, glass halfway to his lips. Who? The homeless man you and Officer Carter assaulted 3 nights ago, Harrington continued, his voice deceptively calm. The man whose military service record includes 3 Silver Stars in classified operations that saved countless American lives. Look, I don't know what you're... Harrington cut him off. Save it. As of 20 minutes ago, the Department of Justice has opened a formal investigation into you, Officer Carter, and Captain Reynolds for civil rights violations, abuse of power, and corruption. Bradley struggled to maintain his composure. This is ridiculous. You can't... I just did. Harrington interrupted again. You see, Officer Bradley, when you decided to beat a decorated Special Forces veteran, you didn't just commit assault. You attacked one of mine. And I protect my people. Bradley's hand had begun to shake, spilling whiskey onto his pants. This is some kind of mistake. The only mistake was yours, Harrington stated coldly. You just made the biggest mistake of your life. The line went dead, leaving Bradley staring at his phone in disbelief. For the first time in years, real fear crept into his heart as he realized he might not be as untouchable as he'd believed. Frantically, he dialed Carter. "We've got a problem," he said when Carter answered. "A big one." Across town, Elijah sat in a comfortable hospital room at Fort Belvoir, his injuries properly treated, wearing clean clothes provided by the military. For the first time in years, he allowed himself to remember who he had been before the trauma and disillusionment had driven him to the streets. A knock at the door preceded General Harrington's entrance. The 2 men regarded each other silently before Harrington extended his hand. "It's been a long time, Master Sergeant." Elijah stood, shaking the offered hand. "Too long, sir." "I made the call," Harrington informed him. "Bradley knows we're coming for him." A cold smile touched Elijah's lips. "Good. I want him to feel what it's like to know something's coming and be powerless to stop it." "This will end his career at minimum," Harrington assured him. "Possibly with jail time." Elijah nodded. "And the others? The homeless veterans he's terrorized?" "We're already setting up resources through the VA," Harrington replied. "Housing, medical care, legal assistance. No one gets left behind." Elijah studied his old commander. Why go to all this trouble for one homeless vet? Harrington's expression softened slightly. "Because in Kandahar, when that RPG hit our position, and I was pinned down, you came back for me. Carried me 2 miles through enemy territory with a bullet in your own leg. Just doing my job," Elijah said quietly. "No," Harrington shook his head. "It was beyond duty, and I never forgot." Dawn broke over the city as Bradley paced his apartment, repeatedly calling Reynolds with no answer. Carter had arrived an hour earlier, equally panicked. "This can't be happening," Carter muttered, peering through the blinds at the street below. "There's a car parked across the street. Been there all night." "Reynolds needs to fix this," Bradley insisted. "That's his job. And if he can't?" Carter challenged. Before Bradley could respond, his phone buzzed with a text message from Reynolds. "FBI at the precinct again. DOJ officials with them. Don't come in." Bradley threw his phone across the room. "Son of a bitch is cutting us loose." "What do we do?" Carter asked, his usual bravado completely evaporated. Bradley grabbed his jacket. "We find that homeless bastard and make him understand what happens to people who cross me." "Are you insane?" Carter stared in disbelief. "That'll just make it worse." "It can't get worse," Bradley snarled. "He started this. He can end it, one way or another." As they argued, Mills sat in a federal building downtown, giving his statement. To FBI agents and DOJ prosecutors, the burner phone lay on the table before him, his decision made. "Officer Bradley has been running protection rackets for at least 3 years," Mills explained, his voice steady despite his shaking hands. "Drug dealers, prostitution, gambling, they all pay him. Captain Reynolds gets a cut to look the other way." Agent Walker nodded encouragingly. "And the harassment of homeless individuals?" Mills swallowed hard. systematic, especially veterans. Bradley has a particular hatred for them, calls them broken toys. And the assault on Elijah Cole? Mills closed his eyes briefly. I was there. I didn't stop it. That's on me, and I'll accept whatever consequences come with that. But Bradley and Carter, they nearly killed him, and they enjoyed it. Outside the federal building, a convoy assembled. FBI tactical teams in full gear checked weapons while Harrington conferred with senior agents. Bradley and Carter are the primary targets, Harrington explained. Reynolds is secondary but equally important. Agent Walker approached. Mills has given us everything. Dates, locations, names, it's more than enough for warrants. Harrington nodded. Execute as planned. Remember, these are cops. They're armed and dangerous. What about Cole? Walker asked. Will he testify? He'll do what needs to be done, Harrington assured her. He always has. As Harrington replied, his phone rang. The caller ID showed Colonel Davis. Sir, Davis's voice was urgent. Bradley and Carter just left Bradley's apartment, armed. They're heading toward the Eastern District homeless encampment. Harrington's expression darkened. They're looking for Elijah. Redirect all units now. The convoy roared to life, sirens wailing as they raced through morning traffic. Harrington made another call. To Elijah. Bradley's coming for you, he warned. Stay put. We're on our way. But Elijah's response was calm, almost expectant. No, General. Let him come. Elijah, don't do anything stupid, Harrington urged. We've got this handled legally. Some battles need to be fought face to face, Elijah replied before hanging. Up at the Eastern encampment, homeless veterans were gathering their belongings, warned by Wilson that trouble was coming. Many had already disappeared into the city, but Wilson refused to leave. He stood up for us, Wilson told the others. I'm not running. Bradley's unmarked car screeched to a halt at the edge of the encampment. He and Carter emerged, weapons drawn, but concealed under their jackets. Where is he? Bradley demanded of a woman folding a tattered blanket. Where's Cole? The woman backed away, terrified. Wilson stepped forward, placing himself between Bradley and the others. He's not here, Wilson stated, his voice surprisingly steady for a man facing armed aggressors. Bradley raised his gun, pointing it directly at Wilson's chest. Last chance, old man. Where is he? Behind you, Elijah's voice rang out. Bradley. And Carter spun to find Elijah standing 20 feet away, his posture straight, his eyes clear. No longer the defeated homeless man they had beaten. This was Master Sergeant Cole, combat veteran, a man who had faced far worse threats than two corrupt cops. You, Bradley snarled. You think you can ruin me? Call in your military buddies to fight your battles? No, Elijah replied calmly. I just needed time to set the stage. Carter's gun wavered between Elijah and the distant sound of approaching sirens. Bradley, we need to go now. Not until I finish this, Bradley insisted, advancing on Elijah. You think you're so special with your medals and your general friends? You're still nothing. A broken, useless, drop your weapon. The command came from Mills, who appeared from behind a tent, his service weapon aimed squarely at Bradley. Bradley's eyes widened in shock. Mills, what the hell are you doing? The right thing, Mills answered, his stance firm despite his evident fear. For once, Carter panicked, raising his gun toward Mills. Put it down, Mills. You're making a mistake. The only mistake was following you two, Mills replied, not lowering his weapon. It's over. The standoff held for 3 excruciating seconds before Bradley made his choice. With a roar of rage, he swung his gun toward Elijah. What happened next seemed to unfold in slow motion. Before Bradley could fire, Elijah moved with the fluid precision of a trained operator. His hand shot out, gripping Bradley's wrist and twisting brutally. The gun clattered to the ground as Bradley howled in pain. Carter froze, unsure where to aim as police and FBI vehicles screeched into the encampment from all directions. In one smooth motion, Elijah swept Bradley's legs from under him, driving him face first into the dirt and pinning, his arm behind his back with practiced efficiency. You were right about one thing, Elijah said quietly as Bradley struggled beneath him. Some people are forgotten, but I was never one of them. FBI agents swarmed the scene, weapons drawn. Agent Walker approached, taking in the tableau with professional calm. Master Sergeant Cole, she nodded respectfully. I believe you've apprehended our suspect. Elijah stood, stepping back as agents handcuffed Bradley. He's all yours. Carter surrendered without resistance, shock evident on his face as he was led away. Mills holstered his weapon, looking simultaneously relieved and terrified. General Harrington arrived moments later, surveying the scene with satisfaction. Well done, Elijah. Elijah watched as Bradley and Carter were placed in separate vehicles. It's not finished yet. No, Harrington agreed, but it's a good start. As the vehicles pulled away, Elijah turned to the gathered homeless veterans who had witnessed everything. Many stared at him with new understanding, seeing for the first time the warrior who had lived among them. Wilson approached, extending his hand. Thank you, soldier. Elijah clasped the offered hand firmly. No man left behind. That's the promise we made. Harrington stepped forward. And it's a promise we intend to keep, for all of you. For the first time in years, Elijah Cole smiled. Not the guarded smile of a man hiding his strength, but the genuine expression of someone who had finally found his way home from a very long war. Days after the confrontation at the homeless encampment, the precinct hummed with nervous energy. Officers spoke in hushed tones, exchanging rumors about Bradley and Carter's arrests. The story had been briefly mentioned in the local news, but the full details remained under wraps as the federal investigation expanded. Bradley sat in an interrogation room at the federal building downtown, his normally confident demeanor cracking under pressure. His attorney, a sharp-dressed man named Lawrence Wilson, whispered urgently in his ear. They've got testimonies from multiple homeless veterans, evidence of your financial transactions, and Officer Mills as a cooperating witness, Wilson explained. The situation is problematic. Problematic? Bradley hissed. I'm looking at federal charges because some homeless vet called in a favor. This is a setup. Wilson sighed. The homeless vet was Master Sergeant Elijah Cole. 3 silver stars, countless classified operations. The Pentagon considers him a national asset. I don't care if he's Captain America, Bradley snapped. He was just another bum when He stopped abruptly, realizing his near admission. When you what? Wilson pressed. Beat him within an inch of his life? Because that's what the medical report says and there are witnesses. Bradley's face flushed with anger. Get me out of here. Call whoever you need to call. I've tried, Wilson admitted. Your usual connections aren't answering. That call from General Harrington changed everything. The mention of Harrington's name sent a cold wave of unease through Bradley. The general's voice still echoed in his mind. You just made the biggest mistake of your life. Down the hall, Carter sat in a separate room, visibly shaken. Unlike Bradley, he had no expensive lawyer, just a public defender who looked overwhelmed by the case. The prosecutor is offering a deal, the defender explained. Testimony against Officer Bradley and Captain Reynolds in exchange for reduced charges. Carter ran a trembling hand through his hair. If I talk, Bradley will destroy me. If you don't talk, the federal charges will destroy you anyway, the defender countered. 20 years minimum. With cooperation, maybe 5. Before Carter could respond, the door opened. Agent Walker entered, placing a folder on the table. Officer Carter, she began. We've been monitoring the precinct communications. Captain Reynolds has already begun distancing himself from you and Bradley. He's planning to claim he had no knowledge of your activities. Carter's face hardened. That lying bastard. He took a cut of everything. Walker nodded to the defender. The deal expires in 1 hour. After that, we proceed with full charges against all parties. As the federal case built, Captain Reynolds sat in his office, desperately calling political contacts. Each call ended the same way. Polite excuses followed by quick goodbyes. No one wanted to be associated with what was quickly becoming a major corruption scandal. His intercom buzzed. Captain, there's someone here to see you. Who is it? Reynolds barked. He says his name is Colonel Davis, sir. Military intelligence. Reynolds froze. Military intelligence? Here? Send him in, he managed, quickly straightening his desk. Colonel Davis entered, his civilian clothes doing nothing to hide his military bearing. He carried a slim briefcase and wore an expression of professional detachment. Captain Reynolds. Davis greeted him. I'm here to discuss the coal situation. Reynolds forced a smile. Of course. Please sit down. This is all a terrible misunderstanding. Officers Bradley and Carter were acting outside department protocols. Davis placed his briefcase on the desk and removed a single document. This is a military intelligence surveillance transcript from 3 weeks ago. You, Bradley, and Councilman Wallace discussing the removal of homeless veterans from the development zone. The blood drained from Reynolds' face. That's taken out of context. We have 17 similar transcripts, Davis continued calmly, along with records of deposits to your offshore account. Interesting banking choice for a police captain. Reynolds slumped in his chair. What do you want? Cooperation, Davis replied simply. General Harrington wants every corrupt officer in this precinct identified and removed. You're going to help us do that. Across town, Elijah sat in General Harrington's temporary command center, a suite of rooms at a high-security government building. His physical wounds were healing, the bruises fading to yellowish smudges on his dark skin. He studied the evidence. Wall where photos of Bradley, Carter, Reynolds, and various associates were connected with red string, mapping out the corruption network. They've been operating like this for years, Elijah observed. Why now? Why is the Pentagon getting involved in a local police corruption case? Harrington placed a hand on Elijah's shoulder. Because you called. But also because this isn't just about corrupt cops anymore. The development project involving Councilman Wallace has defense implications. Elijah raised an eyebrow. What kind of implications? The land they're trying to clear of homeless veterans. It sits adjacent to a classified communications facility. Wallace's development partner has concerning foreign connections. So this is national security now, Elijah concluded. It always was, Harrington confirmed. You just gave us the thread to pull. In the evening, a military drone circled high above the city, its advanced cameras tracking specific targets. Carter, released on bail, noticed the aircraft's distinctive silhouette as he hurried home, pulling his collar higher against imagined observers. He'd made his deal with the prosecutors. In 48 hours, he would provide formal testimony against Bradley and Reynolds. Until then, he needed to keep his head down and stay alive. Carter's phone rang. He answered without checking. The caller ID. You turned on me. Bradley's voice was ice cold. Carter stopped walking, his heart pounding. Bradley, I didn't have a choice. They have everything. We always have choices, Bradley interrupted. And you made the wrong one. Look, man, we're both screwed here, Carter pleaded. The feds know everything, the protection rackets, the development deal with Wallace, everything. Bradley's laugh was hollow. So what's your play? Rat me out and walk away? I'm looking at 20 years, Bradley. What would you do? I wouldn't betray my partner, Bradley replied, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. Sleep tight, Carter, and watch the skies. They're watching you. The line went dead, leaving Carter standing on the sidewalk, staring fearfully at the drone still visible against the darkening sky. Miles away, in a nondescript hotel room, Bradley pocketed his burner phone. Despite being out on bail, he'd chosen not to return to his apartment. The terms of his release prohibited contact with Carter or Reynolds, but Bradley had never been one to follow rules. His regular phone chimed with a news alert. Bradley opened it to find his own face staring back at him. A department photo alongside a headline. Metro police officers charged in federal corruption probe. Damn it, he muttered, throwing the phone onto the bed. His house of cards was collapsing. His police career was over, that much was certain. But Bradley had always been a survivor. He still had one card to play, one way to regain control of the situation. Elijah Cole had started this, and Elijah Cole would end it. Bradley retrieved a duffel bag from the closet, checking its contents. A non-service weapon, ammunition, and $50,000 in cash, his emergency escape fund. He had contacts across the border, people who could make him disappear if necessary. But first he had unfinished business. At the command center, Mills shifted uncomfortably in his chair as he identified fellow officers in surveillance photos. These 6 are directly involved in Bradley's operation, he explained to Agent Walker and Colonel Davis. They run protection for different neighborhoods. Johnson handles prostitution, Turner takes care of gambling, and so on. And Reynolds knew about all of it? Walker asked. Mills nodded. He didn't just know, he coordinated. Bradley might have been the enforcer, but Reynolds made the connections with Wallace and the other city officials. Walker made notes. What about the attacks on homeless veterans? Was that part of the operation? That was personal for Bradley, Mills admitted, shame evident in his voice. He hated them, said they were failed soldiers who didn't deserve respect. Davis's expression darkened. Any idea why he targeted them specifically? Mills hesitated. I always thought maybe it had something to do with his father. Bradley once mentioned his dad was military, died in some operation, said he died for nothing. I think he was taking that anger out on every veteran he encountered. Colonel. Davis exchanged a significant look with Walker. Check Bradley's family history, he instructed an aide. Find out about his father's military service. The aide returned less than an hour later, placing a file before Davis. Sir, Bradley's father was Staff Sergeant William Bradley, killed in action in a classified operation in Afghanistan under General Harrington's command. Davis closed his eyes briefly. Get the general. Now. General Harrington arrived minutes later, his face grave as he reviewed the file. Operation Black Echo, he murmured. I remember it. Staff Sergeant Bradley was point man. He stepped on an IED. And now his son has been systematically terrorizing veterans, Davis noted, including Elijah Cole, who served under your command. Harrington's expression hardened. This isn't coincidence. Sir, an intelligence analyst interrupted. We've lost track of Bradley. He hasn't returned to his registered address and his phone is now offline. Find him, Harrington ordered, and get additional security on Cole immediately. Bradley's not done. Night fell on the city. At a homeless veterans shelter where Elijah had insisted on spending time despite Harrington's security concerns, Wilson and several other veterans gathered for a simple meal. The shelter, underfunded but clean, provided a safe space that many hadn't experienced in years. Still can't believe you were some kind of super soldier, Wilson remarked, passing Elijah a cup of coffee. All this time you never said a word. Wasn't relevant, Elijah shrugged. Out here we're all just trying to survive another day. Wilson gestured to the other veterans. Thanks to you, we might do more than just survive now. The lawyers that General sent over are helping Jackson get his benefits restored. First time in years anyone's given a damn about us. Elijah nodded, surveying the room. Though still wary by nature, he felt a sense of purpose he'd been missing since leaving the service. The younger veterans particularly looked to him now, seeking guidance from someone who understood their struggles. His phone vibrated, the secure device Harrington had provided. A text from Colonel Davis. Bradley's missing. Stay where you are. Security team en route. Elijah's combat instincts flared to life. He scanned the room, noting exits and potential cover. Something felt wrong. Wilson, he said quietly, get everyone to the back rooms. Now. Wilson recognized the tone, the commanding voice that had been hiding beneath Elijah's calm demeanor. Without question, he began guiding the other veterans away from the main area. Elijah moved to the front window, staying to the side as he peered into the darkness. The street appeared empty, but the hairs on the back of his neck stood up. The familiar sensation that had saved his life countless times in combat. Bradley was watching. Elijah was certain of it. Rather than wait for the security team, Elijah made a quick decision. He slipped out the side door of the shelter, moving silently into the shadows. If Bradley wanted him, better to draw him away from the others. He wasn't disappointed. Less than a block away, Elijah spotted a figure in a parked car, the outline of a man hunched over the steering wheel. Even at a distance, he recognized Bradley's distinctive silhouette. Elijah moved carefully, using the urban terrain, as he'd once used the mountains of Afghanistan. Bradley was dangerous, but Elijah had spent decades hunting more dangerous men. Bradley, fixated on watching the shelter's front entrance, didn't notice Elijah's approach until the barrel of his own stolen service weapon pressed against the back of his head. "Looking for me?" Elijah's voice was quiet but carried an undeniable threat. Bradley froze. "How did you—" "You're not the first man to hunt me," Elijah cut him off. "Get out, slowly." Bradley complied, raising his hands. "You're making a mistake. I just wanted to talk. With a loaded gun?" Elijah nodded toward the weapon visible on Bradley's passenger seat. "That's not how conversations usually start." Bradley's face twisted with rage. "You destroyed everything I built. Years of work, gone because some broken-down vet couldn't take a beating." "This isn't about the beating," Elijah countered. "This is about justice for every veteran you terrorized. Every homeless person you abused because you thought no one was watching. My father died for this country," Bradley snarled. "Followed orders from men like your precious General Harrington. And what did it get him? A flag-draped coffin and a son who grew up without a father." Understanding dawned on Elijah. "So you punish other veterans for your loss? Men and women who served alongside your father? They came back. He didn't." Bradley's voice cracked slightly. "They failed where he died. Why do they deserve peace when he's lying in Arlington?" Before Elijah could respond, headlights illuminated the street as several vehicles converged on their position. Military, police, and FBI agents emerged, weapons drawn. "Federal agents, hands where we can see them," Agent Walker's voice carried through the night. Bradley's eyes darted between Elijah and the approaching agents. In that moment of calculation, Elijah saw what was coming next. Bradley was a cornered animal now, and cornered animals were unpredictable. "Don't," Elijah warned, recognizing the shift in Bradley's stance. Too late. Bradley lunged, not for the gun but for Elijah himself, tackled him with desperate strength. Both men went down hard on the pavement. "I'm not going to prison," Bradley hissed, fingers clawing for Elijah's throat. Elijah blocked the attempt easily, his combat training taking over. With a swift, practiced movement, he reversed their positions, pinning Bradley to the ground with a forearm across his throat. "It's over," Elijah told him, as the agents surrounded them. "It was over the moment you chose to abuse your power." Next morning, military transport touched down at the city's private airfield. The door opened to reveal General Harrington in full dress uniform, medals and insignia gleaming in the morning sun. Unlike his previous arrival in civilian clothes, this was an official, visible statement. "General," Colonel Davis greeted him, "we've secured Bradley. He's being held at the federal building." Harrington nodded crisply. "And Cole?" "At the command center. He's fine. Bradley didn't get a chance to harm him." "Good." Harrington strode toward the waiting vehicle. "Status report on Reynolds and Carter?" "Carter's cooperating fully. Reynolds tried to run last night but was intercepted at the bus station. Councilman Wallace is being questioned now." The general's face remained impassive, but satisfaction gleamed in his eyes. "And the press?" "They've been given the basics," Davis confirmed. "You're scheduled for a formal statement at 1400 hours. At the federal building, Bradley sat in interrogation, his lawyer increasingly agitated beside him. "This isn't just assault anymore," Wilson explained. "Attempted murder of a federal witness, conspiracy, corruption. They're piling on charges. That could put you away for life." Bradley stared at the wall, unresponsive. "Are you listening to me?" Wilson demanded. "Your best option is to cooperate. Tell them everything about Reynolds, Wallace, all of it." "So I can be like Carter?" Bradley finally spoke, his voice dripping with contempt. "No, they've taken everything else. They don't get my dignity, too." The door opened, and Agent Walker entered accompanied by a federal prosecutor. "Officer Bradley," Walker began. "It's just Bradley now," he interrupted bitterly. "My badge is gone, remember?" Walker placed a file on the table. "We found your father's military records. Staff Sergeant William Bradley, KIA in Afghanistan, 2005. Bradley flinched visibly at the mention of his father. "He served with honor," Walker continued. 3 tours, Bronze Star recipient. Don't talk about my father, Bradley warned. I wonder what he would think of how you've treated his brothers and sisters in arms, Walker pressed. The veterans you've harassed and beaten, the oath you've betrayed. You know nothing about him. Bradley slammed his fist on the table. I know he saved 4 members of his unit before stepping on that IED, Walker replied calmly. Posthumous Silver Star, a hero. Bradley's composure cracked. Years of bottled rage and grief spilled through. A hero who left his family with nothing but a folded flag, while his commanding officer went on to become a general. Is that what this is about? Walker asked. Punishing Harrington by proxy? Hurting veterans because you couldn't hurt him? Bradley said nothing, but his silence was answer enough. Walker slid a document across the table. Full confession, names, dates, amounts. Every corrupt officer in your network. Sign it, and we'll make sure your father's sacrifice is acknowledged in your sentencing. Across town, Carter sat pale-faced as he detailed years of misconduct to federal prosecutors. Names, dates, payoff amounts, everything spilled out in a desperate attempt to save himself. Bradley started small, he explained. Protection for local dealers, taking a cut of their profits. Then it expanded. Reynolds brought in Wallace and the developers. And the targeting of homeless veterans? The prosecutor prompted. Carter swallowed, hard. Bradley hated them. Said they were a stain on his father's memory. I just went along with it. I wanted the promotion. His statement continued for hours, each revelation more damning than the last. The corruption network extended beyond the precinct, reaching into City Hall and local businesses. A systematic campaign of harassment against the homeless, particularly veterans, all concealed behind badges. At the command center, Elijah watched the interrogation videos with Harrington. Neither man spoke until Carter's session ended. He didn't mention it, Elijah noted, but Bradley was building toward something bigger. Harrington raised an eyebrow. How so? The development project with Wallace wasn't just about luxury condos, Elijah explained. I heard Bradley talking with some of his crew about using the construction to move product, drugs coming in with building materials, distribution through the construction crews. Harrington made a note. We'll add it to the investigation. Elijah studied the general's face. Bradley blames you for his father's death. I know, Harrington replied quietly. I authorized that mission. William Bradley was one of my best sergeants. Does that change how you feel about this case? Harrington met Elijah's gaze steadily. It explains Bradley's actions. It doesn't excuse them. Later that afternoon, Captain Reynolds sat across from his own attorney, desperation evident in his every movement. They have everything, the lawyer explained. Bradley's talking, Carter's talking. The only question now is what kind of deal we can make. Reynolds buried his face in his hands. This can't be happening. I'm 3 years from retirement. Retirement is off the table, the lawyer stated bluntly. We're talking about minimizing prison time now. The door opened, and Colonel Davis entered with a federal prosecutor. Reynolds straightened, a last vestige of authority in his bearing. Captain, Davis acknowledged him coldly. Your options have narrowed considerably. Bradley has provided sworn testimony about your role in the corruption network. Reynolds scoffed. Bradley's trying to save himself. Perhaps, Davis conceded. But we have audio recordings, financial records, and witness testimonies that corroborate his claims. Your offshore accounts were particularly sloppy. The blood drained from Reynolds' face. I want immunity. The prosecutor laughed. That ship has sailed. The best we can offer is reduced charges in exchange for testimony against Councilman Wallace and the other city officials involved. Reynolds' resistance crumbled. What do you want to know? As Reynolds began his confession, Councilman Wallace was facing his own reckoning. FBI agents had raided his office that morning, emerging with boxes of documents and electronic devices. News cameras captured his ashen face as he was escorted to a waiting vehicle, his carefully crafted public image shattering in real time. By evening, the The story had exploded across national news networks. Police corruption ring exposed, the headlines proclaimed. Decorated veteran uncovers systemic abuse. Elijah's military photo appeared alongside stories of his heroism and the brutal treatment he'd endured. At the veterans' shelter, the residents gathered around a television, watching in awe as their story, their daily reality, became a national conversation. "That's him," Wilson pointed at the screen where Elijah's service photo was displayed. "That's our guy." A younger veteran shook his head in disbelief. "All this time, we had no idea who he really was." "He knew who he was," Wilson corrected gently. "He just wasn't ready for anyone else to know." At the federal building's press room, General Harrington stood before a forest of microphones, his presence commanding absolute attention. "The United States military has a sacred covenant with those who serve," he began. "When that covenant is broken, when those who served this nation with honor are subjected to abuse and discrimination, it becomes a matter of national concern." Reporters shouted questions, but Harrington continued uninterrupted. "Master Sergeant, Elijah Cole is one of our nation's most decorated combat veterans. The treatment he received at the hands of corrupt officers is not just a crime, it's an affront to every man and woman who has worn the uniform." In a secure room watching the broadcast, Elijah shifted uncomfortably at the praise. He'd never sought recognition, especially not like this. The press conference continued as Harrington outlined the charges against Bradley, Carter, Reynolds, and the expanding circle of corrupt officials. The general stopped short of revealing the national security implications, but made it clear that the Pentagon's involvement was not merely about one veteran's mistreatment. "This case has exposed a cancer within local law enforcement," Harrington declared. "A cancer we intend to remove completely." As the general concluded his remarks, a reporter called out, "Will Master Sergeant Cole be making a statement?" Harrington's BO response was protective. "Sergeant Cole has served this nation enough. He deserves privacy and respect, something he was denied on our streets." That evening, Bradley sat alone in his cell, the gravity of his situation finally sinking in. His father's legacy, which he'd claimed to protect, had been tarnished by his own actions. The irony wasn't lost on him. A guard approached. "You have a visitor." Bradley looked up in surprise. His lawyer had left hours ago, and he had no family in the area. "Who is it?" The guard didn't answer, simply opening the door to the visitation room. Bradley entered cautiously. Seated at the metal table was General Harrington, still in his dress uniform. "Sit down, Bradley." Harrington gestured to the chair across from him. Bradley remained standing. "I have nothing to say to you." "Then listen," Harrington replied evenly. "I knew your father. He was a good soldier, one of the best. He died saving his men, including me." Bradley's jaw tightened. "And you got to come home a hero while he came home in a box." "Yes," Harrington acknowledged, surprising Bradley with his candor. "Not a day passes that I don't think about the men and women who didn't come home. Your father among them." "Spare me the memorial speech," Bradley spat. Harrington's expression hardened. "I'm not here to ease your conscience, Bradley. I'm here because your father would be ashamed of what you've become. You dishonored his sacrifice by abusing the very people he died protecting." The words struck Bradley like physical blows. His carefully constructed justifications began to crumble. "The judge will consider your father's service in sentencing," Harrington continued. "But make no mistake, you will pay for what you've done to Elijah Cole and every other veteran you terrorized." Bradley slumped into the chair, the weight of his actions finally crushing his defiance. "What happens now?" "Justice," Harrington stated simply, rising to leave. "Something you should have been delivering instead of obstructing." As Harrington exited, Bradley called after him. "Does Cole know about my father?" Harrington paused. "He knows. And unlike you, he understood that your father's sacrifice deserved honor, not vengeance." The general's words hung in the air long after he departed, leaving Bradley alone with the truth he'd been running from for years. Outside the federal building, Elijah waited by a government vehicle. When Harrington emerged, their eyes met in silent communication. "It's done," Harrington confirmed. Bradley's fighting is over. Elijah nodded. And the others? The dominoes are falling, Harrington assured him. Reynolds, Carter, Wallace, they're all cooperating now. The whole network will be dismantled. For the first time since his return from combat, Elijah felt a weight lifting from his shoulders. Not just the burden of his recent battles, but the heavier load he'd carried home from war, the survivor's guilt, the isolation, the loss of purpose. What now, Elijah? Harrington asked quietly. You've completed this mission. Where do you go from here? Elijah gazed at the city skyline, considering the question. I'm not sure yet, but I'm done hiding. Harrington clasped his shoulder. Whatever you decide, you're not alone anymore. That's a promise. As night fell over the city, Elijah returned to the veterans' shelter. The men and women there greeted him differently now, not with the deference due to his newly revealed military status, but with the respect earned by someone who had fought for them when no one else would. Wilson approached, offering his hand. Welcome home, soldier. And for the first time in years, Elijah felt that maybe, just maybe, he truly was home. 3 weeks after Bradley's arrest, the national media remained fixated on the unfolding corruption scandal. Morning talk shows, evening news programs, and online publications competed for the latest developments, each revelation more shocking than the last. The investigation has expanded to include 13 officers, 4 city officials, and multiple business owners, a news anchor reported as footage played of officers being escorted from the precinct in handcuffs. In what authorities are calling one of the most extensive police corruption cases in recent history. Elijah watched the coverage from the modest apartment General Harrington had arranged for him. He'd initially resisted the offer, preferring the independence of his homeless existence, but practical considerations had won out. The media attention made returning to the streets impossible, and winter was approaching. A knock at the door announced Wilson's arrival. The older veteran had become a regular visitor, acting as a liaison between Elijah and the homeless community. You're famous now, Wilson commented, nodding toward the television. Elijah shook his head. Not the kind of attention I ever wanted. Maybe not, Wilson agreed, but it's getting results. The city approved emergency funding for the veterans' shelter yesterday. Beds for everyone this winter. Elijah allowed himself a small smile. That's something, at least. More than something, Wilson corrected. For guys who've been sleeping under bridges for years, it's life-changing. The two men fell silent as the news coverage shifted to a segment about Elijah himself. His military photo appeared alongside footage of the homeless encampment where he'd lived. Master Sergeant Elijah Cole, the reporter began, recipient of 3 silver stars, the Bronze Star with Valor, and multiple Purple Hearts, had been living on the streets for nearly 3 years before the events that exposed corruption within the Metro Police Department. Footage played of protesters gathering outside City Hall, many carrying signs with Elijah's service photo and slogans like, "Honor our veterans," and "No hero should be homeless." Turn it off, Elijah requested quietly. Wilson complied, understanding Elijah's discomfort with the spotlight. People need heroes, Elijah, especially now. I'm not a hero, Elijah insisted. I was just trying to survive, like everyone else out there. Maybe, Wilson acknowledged. But you did what none of us could. You made them see us. Really see us. Before Elijah could respond, his phone rang. The caller ID showed Agent Walker. The trial dates are set, she informed him. Bradley and Reynolds. Next month. Carter's testifying as part of his plea deal. Will I need to testify? Elijah asked, dreading the prospect of public scrutiny. Most likely, Walker confirmed. Your testimony is central to the case, but we'll work with you to make it as manageable as possible. After ending the call, Elijah stared out the window at the city skyline. The prospect of reliving his experiences in a crowded courtroom filled him with unease. Years of operating in the shadows had left him ill-equipped for public attention. You'll get through it, Wilson assured him, reading his expression. One more mission, soldier. Elijah nodded. One more mission. Across town, Mills sat in a sparsely furnished office at Internal Affairs. His new assignment, assisting the department-wide cleanup, had come with both relief and burden. Relief at escaping criminal charges, burden in facing the colleagues he was now investigating. His supervisor, Lieutenant Sandra Hayes, entered with a stack of files. "2 more officers from the 5th Precinct," she said, placing them on his desk. "Both connected to Bradley's protection racket." Mills sighed. "How deep does this go?" "Deep enough that we'll be busy for months," Hayes replied. "But you're doing the right thing, Mills. Finally." The acknowledgement carried a sting of guilt. Mills thought of all the times he'd stayed silent, all the abuses he'd witnessed without intervention. "I should have spoken up sooner," he admitted. "Before Elijah got hurt." Hayes studied him. "Yes, you should have, but you're speaking now, and that counts for something." She paused. "The Veteran Outreach Program is looking for police liaisons, someone to rebuild trust with the homeless community. I recommended you." Mills blinked in surprise. "Me? After everything that happened?" "Because of everything that happened," Hayes corrected. "You've seen both sides. That makes you valuable." The possibility of redemption, of making amends, resonated with Mills in a way his police work never had before. "I'd like that," he said quietly. The courthouse was packed on the first day of Bradley's trial. Journalists filled the gallery, spectators lined up around the block, and protesters from both sides gathered on the courthouse steps. Bradley entered in an orange jumpsuit, his formerly confident stride reduced to a defeated shuffle. His eyes briefly met Elijah's across the courtroom, a fleeting moment of recognition before both men looked away. The prosecution's opening statement painted a damning picture. Years of systematic abuse, corruption reaching into the highest levels of local government, and a particular cruelty reserved for the city's most vulnerable residents. Officer Bradley didn't just abuse his power, the prosecutor concluded. He weaponized it against those least able to defend themselves, our city's homeless, many of whom served this country with honor. The defense argued that Bradley was merely a product of the system, that the real corruption existed at higher levels. It was a weak argument, contradicted by mountains of evidence and testimony. During a recess, Elijah stepped outside for air, accompanied by a U.S. Marshal assigned to protect him. The media descended immediately, shouting questions and thrusting microphones toward him. "Master Sergeant Cole, how does it feel to see Officer Bradley on trial? Are you still living on the streets? Will you be returning to military service?" Elijah raised a hand, and to his surprise, the reporters fell silent. "I'm not here for revenge," he stated simply. "I'm here for justice, not just for myself, but for every veteran who's been forgotten, mistreated, or ignored. That's all I have to say." His brief statement made headlines within the hour. Carter's testimony proved devastating to Bradley's defense. He detailed years of abuse, extortion, and violence, painting Bradley as the architect of the corruption network. "It was Bradley's idea to target the homeless camps," Carter explained, unable to meet Elijah's gaze. "He said they were easy targets. No one would believe them over police officers." Reynolds's testimony followed a similar pattern, each man trying to minimize his own culpability by emphasizing Bradley's role. The strategy failed. The evidence implicated them all. But it was Elijah's testimony that captured the nation's attention. He spoke quietly, with measured dignity, describing not only his own mistreatment but the systematic abuse of the entire homeless community. "It wasn't just beatings," he explained. "It was the daily harassment, the destruction of what little property people had, the constant message that our lives didn't matter." "And why didn't you fight back?" the prosecutor asked. "Given your military training?" Elijah considered the question. "Because I was fighting a different battle then, trying to find my way back from war, and because I knew violence wouldn't solve anything. These men had the system on their side." "What changed?" the prosecutor pressed. "They crossed a line," Elijah replied simply. "Not just with me, but with people who couldn't defend themselves. Someone had to stand up." The jury deliberated for less than 6 hours before returning their verdict, guilty on all counts. Bradley showed no emotion as the verdict was read, his face a mask of resignation. Reynolds collapsed into his chair, head in his hands. Outside the courthouse, General Harrington addressed the waiting media. Today's verdict sends a clear message. No one is above the law, and the mistreatment of our veterans will not be tolerated. The sentencing came 3 weeks later. Bradley received life imprisonment for multiple federal charges, including civil rights violations, racketeering, and attempted murder. Reynolds got 20 years. Carter, thanks to his cooperation, received 8 years with possibility of parole after 5. As Bradley was led away, he paused near Elijah. "I still don't understand," he said quietly. "Why did you endure it for so long? Why not use that training of yours to end it sooner?" Elijah met his gaze steadily. "Because I've seen enough violence to last several lifetimes. I was hoping you'd stop on your own." Bradley had no response as the marshals led him away. In the aftermath of the trial, public attention focused increasingly on the plight of homeless veterans. Donations poured into local shelters, volunteers emerged from every part of the city, and politicians scrambled to support veterans' initiatives. A newly renovated shelter, funded partly by assets seized from Bradley and his associates, a plaque was placed at the entrance. It bore no grand statements, just a simple dedication. "To those who served, then struggled, you are not forgotten." The shelter became a model for a new approach to veteran homelessness, offering not just beds, but comprehensive services, mental health support, job training, and legal assistance for benefits claims. Elijah, despite his reluctance to be a public figure, found himself at the center of the movement. Veterans from across the country reached out to him, sharing similar stories of struggle and mistreatment. "I never wanted to be the face of this," he confided to Harrington during one of their regular meetings. "I just wanted the abuse to stop." "Sometimes, we don't choose our missions," Harrington reminded him. "Sometimes they choose us." The general had one more surprise for Elijah, an official offer of military reinstatement, with full rank and benefits. "The Secretary of Defense signed off personally," Harrington explained, sliding the paperwork across the table. "You could be back in uniform by next month if you want." Elijah stared at the documents, feeling the weight of the decision. For years, the military had been his identity, his purpose. Its structure had given meaning to his life in ways civilian existence never had. "I need time to think about it," he said finally. Harrington nodded, understanding. "Take all the time you need. The offer stands." 6 months after the trials concluded, the city had changed in ways both visible and subtle. The corrupt police administration had been replaced, with emphasis on community engagement and accountability. The Eastern District, once slated for luxury development, had instead become the site of a veterans' housing project. Mills, now working as liaison between the police department and homeless services, had found unexpected purpose in his new role. The same veterans who had once feared his uniform now sought him out for assistance. "Officer Mills," Wilson greeted him at the shelter entrance. "Back again?" Mills nodded. "Brought the paperwork for Jackson's VA appeal, and some news about the housing vouchers. Good news, I hope." Wilson led him inside. "The best. City Council approved full funding, 30 more units available next month." Wilson smiled. "Never thought I'd see the day when a cop was fighting for us instead of against us." Mills accepted the observation with humility. "I'm just trying to balance the scales a little." The shelter's main room buzzed with activity. Veterans of varying ages gathered around tables, some completing benefit applications, others attending a job skills workshop. The transformation from the desperate place Elijah had found 6 months ago was remarkable. A small ceremony was taking place in one corner, the placement of a simple bronze plaque honoring veterans lost to homelessness and neglect. The mayor, seeking positive press after the scandal, had arranged the commemoration. Mills scanned the room. "Is Elijah here today?" Wilson shook his head. "He's meeting with the general. Something important," he said. Across town, in a private room at Fort Mason, Elijah sat across from General Harrington. Between them lay the reinstatement papers, still unsigned. "You've had time to consider," Harrington noted. "What's your decision?" Elijah met his gaze steadily. "I'm declining the offer, sir." Though Harrington had suspected as much, Disappointment still flickered across his features. May I ask why? I've found a different mission, Elijah explained. Here, with the veterans who fell through the cracks, the ones still fighting their way back. Harrington nodded slowly. I understand, and I respect your choice. He paused. What will you do? The VA offered me a position, Elijah revealed. Outreach coordinator for homeless veterans, using my experience on both sides of the equation. Perfect fit, Harrington acknowledged. Though the military will miss your skills, some battles can't be fought with guns and tactics, Elijah replied, echoing his words from months ago. This one requires a different approach. Their meeting concluded with mutual respect. As they parted, Harrington turned back. You know, when I found you in that alley after the ambush in Kandahar, I never thought I'd be thanking you for saving me twice. Elijah raised an eyebrow. Twice? Once from enemy fire, Harrington explained, and once from complacency. I'd forgotten what it means to leave no one behind. Later that evening, Elijah visited the prison where Bradley was serving his sentence. The meeting had been arranged at Bradley's request, surprising both Elijah and the authorities. They sat, across from each other in the visitation room, the fluorescent lights casting harsh shadows on Bradley's already gaunt face. Prison had aged him rapidly. I didn't think you'd come, Bradley began. Neither did I, Elijah admitted. An uncomfortable silence stretched between them until Bradley finally spoke again. I've had a lot of time to think. About my father, about what I did. Elijah waited, offering neither forgiveness nor condemnation. I told myself I was honoring him, Bradley continued, by punishing those who came back when he didn't. But that's not what he would have wanted. He met Elijah's gaze directly. I know that now. What do you want from me, Bradley? Elijah asked bluntly. Nothing. Bradley shook his head. I just wanted you to know that I understand now. What I did was unforgivable. I don't expect forgiveness, but I needed to say it. Elijah studied him, searching for deception and finding none. Your father was a hero who saved lives, including Harrington's. The best way to honor him would have been to protect people, not terrorize them. I know, Bradley acknowledged, the simple admission revealing more genuine remorse than any lengthy apology. As Elijah rose to leave, Bradley asked, The veterans at the shelter, are they getting help now? Yes, Elijah confirmed. Things are changing. A ghost of relief crossed Bradley's face. Good. That's good. Carter received a similar visit, though his reaction was markedly different. Where Bradley had found a measure of clarity in prison, Carter remained focused on his own suffering. 8 years, he complained bitterly, while Reynolds got 20. How is that fair? I was just following orders. The same excuse used by every man who ever committed atrocities, Elijah observed. Quietly, Carter had no response. Mills's transformation proved more genuine. On a crisp autumn morning, he led a training session for new police recruits, focusing on interactions with homeless individuals. The badge doesn't make you superior, he emphasized. It makes you responsible. Remember that every person you encounter has a story, has value. The recruits, fresh-faced and earnest, took notes. Among them was a young woman whose brother had served in Afghanistan, part of a new wave of officers drawn to the force in the wake of the reforms. At the veterans' shelter, a new project was underway. Under Elijah's guidance, former homeless veterans were being trained as peer counselors, using their lived experience to help others navigate the system. You've been there, Elijah explained, to the participants. You know the challenges in ways no bureaucrat ever could. That makes you invaluable. Wilson, now employed as the shelter's intake coordinator, watched with approval. From the streets to helping others in 6 months. Not bad, Master Sergeant. Just Elijah now, he corrected gently. The military was another life. The city's homeless. Population remained substantial, but the atmosphere had changed. Where once there had been resignation and fear, now there was cautious hope. Outreach teams, including police officers like Mills, regularly visited encampments with resources rather than threats. One afternoon, Elijah returned to the spot where his confrontation with Bradley had begun, the alley where he'd been beaten nearly to death. The place held no power over him now, just another urban corner transformed by context and time. As he stood there, Harrington's car pulled up beside him. "Last place I expected to find you," the general remarked, joining him. "Just making peace with ghosts," Elijah explained. Harrington nodded in understanding. "I'm leaving tomorrow. New assignment overseas." "The world keeps turning," Elijah observed. "It does," Harrington agreed. "But some things change for the better." He gestured to a group of veterans being helped into a van marked with the VA logo. "You did that. Not with a rifle this time, but with courage nonetheless." They walked together toward a small park where several homeless veterans sat on benches, talking with outreach workers. One man extended his hand to Elijah in greeting, and others nodded in recognition. "You found your way home," Harrington noted. "In a manner of speaking," Elijah acknowledged. "Just not the way I expected." As sunset painted the sky in fiery hues, Elijah returned to the barrel fire where his story had begun. The scene was remarkably similar. The flickering flames, the gathering darkness, the marginalized people seeking warmth and community. Yet everything had changed. The fear was gone from their eyes, replaced by determination. A younger veteran approached an older man struggling with his belongings, offering assistance just as Elijah had once helped Wilson. Elijah watched the interaction with quiet satisfaction, seeing his own actions reflected and multiplied, the cycle of compassion continuing without him, the true measure of lasting change. As darkness fell completely, a news van drove slowly past the gathering. The reporter inside glanced out, perhaps hoping for a glimpse of the now famous Elijah Cole. But Elijah stepped back into the shadows, letting the story unfold without him. Some battles were fought in the spotlight, with guns and glory. Others were fought in quiet moments of dignity and compassion, far from cameras and acclaim. Elijah had fought both kinds now, and he knew which victory mattered more. Elijah watched the younger veteran help the older man to shelter, his voice barely audible as he murmured, "Some battles are fought differently. Ever wonder how many heroes walk among us, invisible in plain sight?" Remember Elijah Cole's journey. Not all battles are fought with weapons, and the most important victories often happen in silence. If this story moved you, please like, subscribe, and share for more powerful narratives that challenge us to see beyond